Hello food fans, going to try a bacon and tomato sandwich without meat. No bacon. We're going to use the Morningstar bacon strips that do taste a lot like bacon or even crisper. I make them in the microwave and they look something like bacon. I will have that. I will also have a garden fresh tomato in the bacon and tomato sandwiches. And I'm going to have some fried potatoes with it that I'll make with that potato, and I'll have whole wheat bread, and I will have one more secret ingredient on these bacon and tomato sandwiches that should be good. We will find out. So let's get started. And in a pan that has nonstick spray and some vegetable oil in it, I'm frying half of one potato, and I will let it fry until I like the brownness of it. The potatoes are getting to my level of brownness, and I have turned out the heat, and I'll let them finish cooking with the heat that is already built up. And the toast is in the toaster, the whole wheat bread that will become whole wheat toast has just popped up. And also I've just finished making the bacon, cooking the bacon in the microwave, about 1 minute 15 seconds in the microwave, and that's what, two slices of the bacon. And this looks like a very good meal. It is still very, very warm. I can feel the heat coming off the pan. And I shall reveal to you the secret ingredient I'm going to try out. I've not tried this yet. And it should be very healthful. For one thing, I'm going to, instead of bacon, lettuce, and tomato, I'm going to have fake bacon and cabbage and tomato. And we'll take the bacon, which is still pretty warm from the microwave, and take it off the paper towel here, and put it, break it first and put it onto the bread, the toast, and arrange it real pretty there, and get some of this over here. And the tomato came from the garden, and those tomatoes are very, very good. They might have good tomatoes in the regular produce in stores, but the homegrown just become favorites. I'm going to put a little bit of mustard, and I shake the mustard in case any water has condensed onto the edges of the cold mustard container in the refrigerator. Put a little bit of mustard there, and the pan is definitely giving off a lot of heat already. And I'll talk to you about some numbers that have to do with different times of my life. Numbers such as the number 210, 210 pounds. That's the most weight I have ever pressed overhead. And that's not any sort of record or anything. There are people who've done twice that. Paul Anderson, if you ever look up Paul Anderson with an O, A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, used to do a push press. The barbell would be like 5 feet off the ground, and he would lift the barbell to the full length of his arms. He had short arms, but he could push press 500 pounds. My best press was 210 at a body weight of 210. I also did a body weight of 175 one time. When I weighed 175 pounds, I pressed 175 pounds. I'm going to try the sandwich. I love the Morningstar Farms vegetarian bacon strips. and the cabbage does add a little bit of crunchiness, and I like the flavor of cabbage better than lettuce. I'm just a big fan of cabbage. When I was 3 or 4 years old, my favorite food was sauerkraut. This is a nice lunch. When I used to go to the gym 3 days a week, back between the time I was 17 to about 20, I went to the gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then Saturday I'd often go in just to see if I could break a record in one of my lifts. But I was never real strong like the Olympic type people. Fried potatoes. My favorite kinds of potatoes are fried potatoes. I like them better than French fries. That is good. I used to do what's known as a curl, just holding the arms at your side, but holding a barbell in your arms and bring it up to your chest. I used to curl 145. Root beer. Very good. And I was never very good with the bench press or the squat lifts, but one of the people who really was good at weightlifting at the time, a guy named Paul Anderson, who was in the 1956 Olympics, he actually did a squat with 1,200 pounds. My Hollywood career, I made more than 800 appearances in front of the camera. Some of those appearances were multiple day jobs. Like I worked 17 days on Under the Rainbow. I'm not visible in the movie. I worked far in the background in one scene, but I stood in for Pat McCormick, and I stood in for Peter Isaacson on that. But more than 800 appearances. I worked more than 145 different TV shows. I worked more than 100 feature films. I worked more than 80 TV movies, and I worked about 50 commercials in front of camera. The sandwich is good, potatoes are good, beer's 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 good. There are a lot of the movies that I worked where I did not appear on camera. Either I was standing in, or they never got around to the scene they wanted me for. examples of shows where I was on the set when I was ready to do a scene, but the scene never occurred. Magnolia with Tom Cruise. I never did see Tom Cruise, but I worked with him, made overtime. Never saw him, never met him, never talked with him. I worked a movie called The Border with Jack Nicholson. Worked 2 days on it, rode around in a limousine, had lunch with Jack Nicholson. Nice times, but they never got around to doing the scene that I was called in to do. I was on the set of Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, and I think we worked that for a couple of days and overtime, but they never did the scene that I was there to do. It was directed by Carl Reiner. And when I say I did 800 performances in front of the camera, I actually was in front of the camera more than that. The reason being the way I kept notes. Each show that I worked, I would put down, okay, I worked Vegas. I worked 6 different episodes of Vegas. Each was a one-day work job for me. On Dear John, I worked 90 episodes of Dear John plus the pilot. Most of the shows were 5-day jobs. If there was a holiday, there was a 4-day job, but with overtime. I worked 13 gong shows plus the pilot. Each of the gong shows that I worked, I got paid for the job. It was a union job. They had union gong shows and non-union gong shows, and I was on the union shows. And they paid about $400, $440 I think it was. Plus if I used an original song, I made about $1,600 for the song. And when I say I worked 145 TV shows, Quincy was one of the shows, but I worked Quincy about 15 times, sometimes 2 or 3 days on one episode. So I never did figure out how many actual days of work I put in, but if I counted all of the movie and TV work as an extra and as an actor and as a musician and a stand-in and a photo double, I did about 17 episodes of Hill Street Blues. I was very fortunate to get in the Screen Extras Guild. It no longer exists. Bacon and tomato sandwich with cabbage. I like them. Also did radio. And I did several hundred different radio shows. I never did count those up. Root beer good. I encourage you to get into show business. Even now, while everything is locked down, this might be a time you can maneuver your way into the business. The more types of things you do, if you're a musician, you're a dancer, you're a singer, you're a specialty act, you're a ventriloquist, you're a snake charmer. By the way, people who have animals for rent for movies in California, they do get paid a lot when they work, but they don't work that much. I've worked with an elephant. It was just one. I think I worked only with one elephant. I worked with some camels, worked with a bear, worked with pumas, leopards, chimpanzees. Stay away from chimpanzees. Don't try to make friends with a chimpanzee. I would never do that. Read about chimpanzees. Read about the violent chimpanzees. The chimpanzees, as they get older, they get bad attitudes. The last of the bacon and tomato sandwiches. Worked with a chimpanzee on BJ and the Bear. I stayed way away from it. I worked with horses, never rode a horse in a movie. What are some of the other things that have happened on movie sets? Or I've watched a lot of stunt people. If you're an adventuresome type person, maybe you'll want to try to get into stunts. It's very hard to break into stunts in movies, but maybe start with parkour, P-A-R-K-O-U-R, I think is how it's spelled. If you can do parkour, you'll probably make it in the stunt world of Hollywood once Hollywood comes back. Good potatoes, fried potatoes, very good low cost, nourishing, healthful meal, I believe. I thank you for watching.